Carl. So another year, another iPhone. This is your first look at the new iPhone 15. Think of this as, I would say, like an upgrade from the 14 Pro. If you already own that, it might not be worth it to get this, because essentially a lot of the 14 Pro Max features are coming to the standard 15. We typically see that. This is in the blue colorway. The colors are also more pastel-y, a bit more toned down. We also have a new finish on the back, which it's kind of like built in, or I guess dyed into the actual glass. It's also a matte finish. But let's take a look at the box first. So you can see right here, it's an all-white box, and we have the new wallpapers, these nice little bubbles. Of course, this is in blue. You can also get it in yellow, pink, green, as well as the black. Say goodbye to the starlight/white combo. This is probably the most neutral iPhone color that you can get in terms of the 15. Most people rock cases on it anyways, but if you are someone that rocks it naked and you don't want color, I think your only option is black, like my heart. So same size box, nice and slim. We know for the past couple of years there is no more charging brick, and we can see the iPhone up top, and this is super neutral. It's very non-saturated, and we'll kind of put this down for a second. And you can see designed by California in Apple. If you're new to the channel, that of course is just a fun little play on words that I've got. We've got the SIM card tool, warranty info, and the one lone Apple sticker in white in biodegradable paper, which Apple is moving towards more sustainability, which we'll see in a second, and a braided cable. So the big thing coming to the iPhone now, you can see that on the bottom here, it's of course powered by USB-C. And if you kind of think about that, the lightning port is just, it's slow, it's archaic. We probably should thank Europe for pushing towards USB-C, because I think they mandated all new devices to kind of have the same charging device. So now this braided cable, which I think this is color matched. Like if you look at the blue, when the rest of the colorways come into the studio, I'll kind of double check that, but I think that is a nice touch. And I think that's the first time we've seen a braided color matched iPhone cable inside of a box. It's weird things, we like to geek out about that. And obviously two USB-C ports, or two USB-C cable ends, because we are saying goodbye to Lightning. See ya. And that is pretty much it inside of the box. And once we power this on, it's pretty simple to set up. There's a couple new prompts for screen size, or I guess the sizing of the actual text. Here is the iPhone in all of its glory. And we can see the big change coming to, of course, the iPhone 15, it's dynamic island. So once again, that's coming from the 14 Pro, 14 Pro Max. It's this little notch up front that changes with what you're doing. So for example, so I've brought up timer as an example. That's 59 seconds and counting down. You can see right on dynamic island right there, it's 54 seconds. And as that times down, you get that little notification. Obviously that changes with things that you're using it for, say like music. You'll see like a little logo of what the cover display art is, and a quick little launch. If you click on that, or press that, you'll get led back to whatever dynamic island is kind of focusing on. So that's kind of cool. I wouldn't say it's the biggest deal breaker. Like if you've got the notch, it's fine. It's just a cool little animation, but I guess new to the 15. And as that timer goes off, you can actually hear that as I bring it up to the microphone. There's new notification sounds that's with iOS 17, so that'll apply to all of the rest of your iPhones as long as you update that. So that's nice. Going around the rest of the phone, so like I said, the back of the phone. So this is, I don't want to say like frosted or matte, but it definitely has a different texture to it. It feels nice. Say goodbye to fingerprints, because you don't see that glossiness anymore. And like I said, it's super muted, very pastel-y, just not that saturated. And I actually have a couple of the older iPhones if you want to see the progression of the blue. So this is the 14 Plus, and this is the 12. So the 13 actually had a bit of green in it. I would almost say it's a bit teal. I would say this is kind of the natural progression. So you can see the 12, you can see the stacked camera lenses. Don't mind all the nasty fingerprints. I've used the devices a lot. The 14 Plus, so it's gotten less color, and moving on to, I guess, the 15, which is the lightest of the bunch. And you can actually see a lot of the fingerprints here collecting on the other devices because they have a glossy or that glass back, whereas this new color, how Apple describes it, the color is actually infused into the back of the phone. So it's a lot less saturated, more muted, and technically the corners should be a bit more rounded. You can kind of feel that. It's way less pronounced than I thought. The older phones still have a rounded back, but I guess this one is just slightly more rounded. Not too big of a deal breaker though. And as a little size reference, I've got the just standard 14 here. It's in yellow. They seem pretty much identical, kind of stacked. Obviously you've got the aluminum around the outsides, but knowing Apple, I do have the 14 case here. It unfortunately just does not fit, as the camera bump is just slightly off center from this. So yes, you do need to buy a separate case that is confirmed. Obviously you got to spend an extra 50 bucks for an official Apple one. I do have one in blue here, which I can quickly unbox to show you what it looks like. The official name for this one is called Winter Blue, which should match the actual phone. And that there fits perfectly. That cutout works. And yeah, that's just super unfortunate that you have to buy an extra accessory, even though the phones are pretty much identical in terms of dimensions. That is just Apple getting their extra money's worth. But anyways, if we go around the rest of the phone, so like I said, aluminum banding. The Pro models have that new action button. This still has that classic toggle switch for, of course, silent or just disabling your sound. And since I am in Canada, I thankfully still have that SIM card slot on the side. If you are in the US, you would obviously not see that, as those are all eSIMs, which probably makes this phone a bit more valuable. And in terms of the display, so I've got 15 and 14 here. They still come in the same sizes, so either 6.1 or if you go for the Plus, that's a 6.7. The new 15 gets up to 2000 nits brightness, so you can kind of see the difference here. It also seems a bit cooler in terms of the color temperature. I've got both of them set to the same settings here. The 14 does look a bit on the warmer side. Once again, I know that kind of varies by iPhones, but I'm always on the cooler side. I do prefer that, but I wonder if it's just these two models. And obviously you can see the big difference here. The dynamic island is still missing on the 14, and you can see it on the 15. So essentially what we have here is I wouldn't say an iPhone 14 Pro Plus, if that was kind of a thing. This is essentially what this device is in the newer body. Pro Light. One thing to remember though, one thing that differentiates the 14 Pro from the 15, although I've been saying it's the same device, this still has, or I guess it still doesn't have ProMotion, which is the quicker refresh rate for the screen. These models are still locked at 60. The Pro device, or I guess the 15 Pro, the 14 Pro, that has 120 Hertz. And just even something as simple as going between the different web pages or the different app screens, there is a noticeable snappiness to the Pro side that has nothing to do with obviously the internals, because these actually have the same internals, the A16 Bionic. And then I would kind of say the last big thing coming to the 15 is the camera. Once again, coming from the 14 Pro, the main sensor is now 48 megapixels. You still have the two cameras, not the 3 found on the Pro models. So because it's 48 megapixels now, you have a 2x telephoto, and that's the first time you're seeing like an optical zoom on a standard iPhone, and obviously still that 12 megapixel ultra wide. But the big thing here is using that 48 megapixel main, you have this cool thing called portrait mode. So when you kind of use the phone, say for example, Nick is on B cam there, that little F that appears on the side, that means it's detected him, it's detected a person. So every time a person, or say a dog actually, is in frame, say I just snap that quick little frame and I go on to edit this actual photo, and you can see I can actively scroll between giving bokeh in the background, it gives that portrait effect, or if I go on to off, it no longer has that creaminess in the background. Obviously, I'll be testing this out way more to do like a full actual like camera test, but that's kind of cool. I'll definitely be taking pictures of Link. And that's technically the first like big camera upgrade coming to the standard iPhone line. Those are usually reserved to like the Pro models since the iPhone 7. So since the 7 to the 14, those have always had that 12 megapixel main. So now that finally that 48 megapixel camera is coming to the 15 line. So that's super dope. I would definitely say this is more of an upgrade than the 14 Pro to the 15 Pro. The 14 to the 15 is definitely a worthy upgrade. So if you're looking to upgrade, if you've got the 12, the 13, this is definitely a big time to jump on to the 15. If you've got the 14 Pro already, I guess you'd probably be looking at the 15 Pro, but obviously don't get the standard 15 since they are very, very similar. Obviously just missing that Pro motion, but that's kind of your first look and unboxing at the iPhone 15. If there's anything else you want me to cover, rest of the colorways, rest of the devices are coming into the studio. So hopefully you guys enjoy this, and I'll catch the rest of you, in one of my next ones. Peace.